Hey, what's up, team? It's Joe Mill here, back with Killer Miller Q. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I know the weather's starting to turn in a lot of areas, and one way or another, it's about time to bring that old pellet grill back out. So I'm going to go through today. We're going to be showing a little bit of maintenance and a little bit of cleaning, and we're going to get it all nice and pretty and get it ready to smoke. Hold tight. Alright, so this is what we're going to be working with today. I just yanked my cover off. This baby's got a little bit of good old-fashioned dust on it, which you always get out here in Arizona from that cover. But it's dirty. I can see I don't got no pellets in here. So this is my Green Mountain Grill's Daniel Boone. I done had this almost 2 years. I love this grill, to be honest with you. You know, before I actually recently got my Lone Star smoker and got back out here making fires, this was my baby. We was getting it in. I can see I dropped my drip pan. Oops. So let's take a peek. You getting the first peeks right along with me as we just kind of looking around, and I get an idea how much work I got cut out for me today. Don't look too bad, to be honest with you. I mean, I usually try to keep it respectful, but it's definitely dusty if nothing else. So the outside's definitely gonna need its good wipe down, and then we'll kind of give it a little bit of conditioning. I know this mirror has been completely black, so that's gonna probably be one of my hardest parts, is getting my mirror back see-through. Oh yeah, getting that all cleaned up, as well as my light over here. If you can see if it can focus in a little bit. There's a light right here, and we're gonna have to get that all cleaned up and everything. But other than that, I mean, it's gonna be just a standard clean. I usually aluminum foil everything, so that helps a little bit in the drip pan, and we'll get this baby all vacuumed out. But I'm gonna be walking you through a little bit of what I like to do as far as cleaning, some things to keep an eye out on as we kind of make sure that we maintenance so we don't catch any grease fires or anything like that. But we're gonna get this baby all cleaned up, and then it'll be all ready. Alright, so let's talk game plan. I like to go inside, outside, and then go work from top to bottom. So I'm going to start on the inside. The first thing that I want to do in here is more or less I'm going to brush down these grates on both sides. And while they're inside the smoker, that way most of the stuff and the debris can actually drop off right on the inside in there. And then I'm going to be basically taking off that aluminum foil, tossing that out, and then I'm going to take out all my main components in here. Around the corner I got me some cardboard laid out, so that's where I can actually sit everything out. And then that way it's not sitting here right by where I cook and getting everything all nasty. Just kind of a good practice to kind of get in the habit of. I'll kind of show you my little baby setup, but nothing too crazy. And then from there we'll get to cleaning everything up, vacuuming it out, and then I'm gonna also get a little bit of solution to kind of get on these areas where I need to try to get this glass cleaned out, and then where I want to get this light back visible, and we'll kind of go at it from there. All right, so let's quickly talk about some of the random things we're gonna need, all this random junk we got down here. First off, one of the things that I would recommend is get yourself a shop vac that you dedicate to your pellet smoker. They're pretty cheap. I would tell you, if nothing else, catch one on Black Friday. You might literally catch one for about 10 to 15 bucks. Just a small one that'll kind of do the trick. Home Depot and Lowe's usually always got those for Black Friday sales. But once you start getting this thing dirty, I mean, you see how dusty this one is. I literally leave this one out in my tool shed. At least you don't have to worry about it. You don't want to be trying to clean that off and bring that back in the house. Especially, it's usually always a little bit of dust that'll fly. So, anyway, I got my shop vac. I got me a roll of paper towels to kind of do some quick cleanup. This scraper we're going to be using, and we'll see how it works to help us get those windows a little bit cleaner. It's plastic, so at the end of the day, with a pretty flat edge, it's not going to necessarily scrape that window, which is actually okay anyway because it's hardened. But it's something that will break before you actually do some true damage into your pit. But this will help you do a little bit of your scraping on some areas that maybe are a little bit more tough. For the most part, I'm keeping it pretty simple. Good old-fashioned Dawn dishwashing liquid and water is how we're gonna get this thing done. It's been degreasing for years, so no need to get too crazy. However, I am gonna be using a little bit of simple green on some of my harder areas, like that window that I showed you that is completely fogged up all black. I'm gonna go ahead and just start right off the bat, because this is gonna need to take some time to kind of break up. And we'll get some of that on there, as well as, and I know it might be hard to kind of see, especially with the light glare that I'm getting. Let's see if I can get in there. There we go. This is actually a light, which actually worked pretty handy until it got all covered. So we're gonna kind of spray that one off too, so they can get kind of working on, and that's gonna be our first couple steps. Outside of those couple areas and the main areas that like to do a lot of the, catch a lot of the grease and things like that, right here along the lip and the edge where your grates are, and then the actual grease drip tray, that's about the only areas that I really ever add any chemicals. For what it's worth, like I said, Simple Green is biodegradable, so it's a little bit lighter. But then with that said too, you always want to make sure if you put any kind of chemicals in this thing, take the time to do you a burn off. Pump it up to about 350 and let this thing rock for about a half hour. Burn off all those chemicals and all that good stuff. Start getting you some good smoke back in there before you actually get in here and start cooking. All right, so a little bit of wetness. Start letting this break up. Let this degreaser do its job. And the first thing that we're going to do, and I'm going to try to do all of this one-handed. Oh, I think, you know what, I might have left out one of the most important things that you need to make sure that you have with you, which is disposable gloves. This is going to be a dirty job, so make sure you dress for it. Don't wear your best. And then with that said, definitely take the time to put you some gloves on, and it'll make life a whole lot easier. So first things first, is it's going to be tough for me to probably do all this all at one time. We're going to be jumping in and working on these grates. Also, it'll probably get pretty loud. I'm from the school of, with the grates, I'm not going to take them completely out, do all the wash down and everything. Really, all I want to do is get them nice and cleaned off. Get them a good rock off. You also need your scraper, scrubber, whatever, of course. It's going to be one of your number one things. Get those nice and even. I always like to go left and right after I go even. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and flip these over. And you see this side is a little more cruddy. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I apologize if you're not getting the best of lighting out here. It's kind of bright. And I'm just happy to be at the edge on my porch where I catch a lot of light and shade as well. So now that we got this thing flipped over, I'm going to do the exact same thing with my scraper. Scrape it off good. Get off all that extra debris, and then I'll make sure that I blow these out. Hold tight, as it's going to get a little loud. Alright, I'll try to give it to you from this view. So once we go ahead and we flip those racks over, we can scrub down both sides. We're going to be using your glove, and we're going to take these right out. I'm going to try not to get in your way too much. And then again, this is where it comes in handy to have this cardboard sitting right here. So I'm going to sit those racks down. Another thing that I wanted to bring you in on too was I thought about this later, and I said I wanted to give it a shot because I remember the Simple Green had me working last time. So I'm switching over. I wanted to try this apple cider vinegar 50/50 with water. That being something else that I've heard does well on being able to cut things and being able to stay a little bit more natural. So we're going to go that route. I'm going to get a little bit more up here. I did try with that Simple Green just to kind of see if it was moving or anything, and it didn't seem like it was super smooth and easy. So I was like, oh yeah, let me try this and see if it gives me a little bit better results, so then I'll be able to kind of let you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that on there, let it start to work on its dripping. And a lot of times too with those napkins, what we can do is we can catch a little bit of this stuff that's starting to drip right off the bat. Save us a little bit of that cleanup on the back end later. I'll wipe that right off. And one of the other things that I forgot to mention to you, that's why you wear your gloves, was to keep your garbage can right by. Makes it super easy. So I'm just going to leave this kind of here as just a little drip catch. And that's why we always wait to the end to kind of do the outside stuff, so that way all of this stuff really won't matter too much. So next thing I'm going to do is we're going to keep kind of moving, and we're going to take out some of these components. Hopefully you'll be able to get a good view, but I'll make sure I lift them up. Alright, so we got our drip pan. Definitely something I would recommend doing is getting that heavy duty aluminum foil and wrapping this drip pan up. It'll save you so much time in between cooks on being able to quickly get this all cleaned up and get rid of it and be able to kind of move on to the next one. Because when it comes down to it, you might not need to actually do what we're about to do today as far as the deep cleaning and getting everything out of the inside and taking all the parts out. However, with that grease, that's something you want to stay on top of, where you can get you an uncostly grease fire. So with that aluminum foil being on there, real easy. Just take that off, wrap that up, keep all that junk right on there. I toss it right in the garbage. Like I said, I'm about 2 years in, and this is what my drip plan looks like. Really, there's nothing on here. I don't have any work to do. Maybe I'll scrape that a little bit, as it might be a little bit of light debris on there, a little bit of paint chipping off, but other than that, it is what it is. Still holding strong. We're inside of here. So, let's talk about some quick anatomy. You can see some of the areas that we're going to want to touch on, like I was saying, and this is some of the areas that I'll hit with some of that apple cider and vinegar after I scrape everything down and get everything out as best I can. So one of the main areas where you always got to make sure that you're not getting too much buildup in here of grease, we're going to take a little bit of time to make sure that we scrape this down. We're going to hit it with a little bit of that vinegar and water to kind of break that a little bit up, and then we'll use the paper towel to start to get up the initial thicker residual stuff, and then we'll come back with a little bit of that water and soap, and then be able to come over it. Other than that, I usually will think of it like this. Think about everywhere that your grill grates lay. They actually usually will pull grease and food and everything right with it as far as the grease is coming off of the food. So normally a lot of times in these inside tracks, you'll get a little bit of grease buildup along these sides. I'm getting a little background noise, so hopefully you're all right. But right along these sides, these are going to be areas that you want to make sure you take the time. You can see a little bit of buildup right there to wipe out really good, clean it out really good, and that way you'll present yourself from having a grease fire. Other than that, I'm not looking too bad in here. I don't really do any scraping in here. I like to keep me a little bit of that seasoning. Only thing that I will do is when we get everything out of here and I come through with my vacuum cleaner, I'll go ahead and hit it a little bit on the walls. You can see a little bit of the scraping from when I've done that, and that cleans it up pretty well. But let's keep moving forward. We're going to be taking this one out next, which is pretty much this heat deflector plate, which is pretty nice. The way that they have this set up, you're able to come right here on the side, and I can adjust that and move it from one side to the other, which is more or less you can change where your hot spots are in your grill without having to necessarily take everything out. But when we're doing our cleaning, first thing I got to do is take this handle off. So I'm going to unscrew that. This area here we're also going to be going into. This is a convenient place here, and I like this one that they put this in on this model. Where pretty much I'm able to kind of grab my hose, hook this directly onto here, and what it's going to do is actually empty out and clean out my firebox for me. So you don't have to do too much work if it's one of those in-between cooks and you're not trying to take everything out, but you want to make sure you're not getting too much buildup. You'll be able to kind of do that on the fly. So this has got a little weight to it, but nothing too crazy. As long as I don't cut my hand up, yeah, we all right. All right, so this is the inner works of the Green Mountain Grill smoker here. At the end of the day, every smoker, I used to have a Traeger, all of them are real similar. As far as the components, the things that's on the inside, if you're getting one that's offset or set up like this, they're gonna all be set up pretty much the exact same way. So this video you can use no matter which smoker you got. Obviously there might be some subtle differences from the inside. So we'll just get right started with it. Keep in mind too, right here, this is going to actually be, and you want to make sure that you don't beat this up or treat it too dirty. That's going to actually be where your grill is actually using its thermometer. That's something that you want to make sure that stays with nothing on it. I'm just going to use this, and another one I didn't mention. Always bring me out a fresh one usually when I'm getting started, but this is the best material. That way this actually gives way, that Scotch-Brite. You won't have to worry about actually scraping your grill up, but at least on some of those harder areas where you need a little bit of elbow, this is a good one to do. But I want to take a second and I'm going to shine this baby up, make it look like a brand new penny, just to make sure we get a lot of that gunk off of there so that it's able to get you a better reading, so that you're not getting too many fluctuating temperatures. But other than that, that's about all we're going to do to it. That's real simple. So little wipe all the way around. That looks decent. Okay, so from there, what I want to do is I'm gonna spray these hot spots, shall we say. Cause like I said, we're gonna run right along this grill grate. And I feel a lot better knowing I'm using this apple cider vinegar and water. Even though I do the burn-offs anyway, it's just nice to know if you stick with something or start with something natural, it's less that you got to worry about on the back end. Okay, and then right down here at this bottom portion, this one I always find, I feel like the most collects here in the front. Not a bad angle. Let's see. There we go. I'm gonna get all the way up on this lip. That's usually pretty greasy. And then from there, we're gonna hit this drip tray. There we go. Had to adjust my my spray nozzle. Now I'm getting a good spray. So I'm gonna wet this up pretty good. So one thing to keep in mind, and I haven't even done it, but I've already made a mess. Couple things. When you putting that green mountain away, as you can see, all my grease done spilled out of here. Once that grease cools off and everything, make sure you take the time to move your pot. So that way, when you put your handle and everything on, you don't end up with this nice mess that I'm gonna be cleaning up here today. But what I was about to tell you is when you start to clean out and you're spraying stuff in there, make sure that you got this handle either connected or at least right down here underneath it. So that way when things start to drip out of there and you're getting some of that grease coming out of your grill, you don't end up with a big mess right out here on your patio. Luckily, I already got one, so not a big deal. So I'm gonna let that sit for a half a second. What I'm about to do next is I'm coming back with my paper towels, and all I want to do is I want to just wipe up all of this residual, goop that I can get off of here pretty easy, and then we'll come back. All right, so I made one pass through, and I just wanted to show you what it looked like. And I tell you what, you can literally feel the grease and the gunk on all of these. So before I threw these out, I figured I'd just let you see how much gunk and nastiness comes out of there. That's why I keep that garbage can close. So what I want to do, so I'm going to come through, I want to make one more pass. I'm going to go ahead and spray this whole ridge down again. I'm going to come back with my paper towels. I'm going to make it nice and heavy. Oops, sorry about that, I'm showing you my hand. There we go. Nice and heavy, all the way on this ridge. All the way. Come on, refocus. There we go. All the way on this next ridge. And then all the way, and you can see how much better this front lip looks. It had a ton. So you can see a lot of that already came off. But we'll rinse that back down one more time. Along with down here in the grease drain. And I like to make sure some of that goes down that hole. Start loosening that up. You don't want your hole to be plugged either. So that's something that you want to check out. And you can look from this side and then turn around and then also look from this end. And make sure that you got a nice hole and there's nothing that's slowing down your grease or ended up making it actually pool on here. Because what ends up happening a lot of times in those grease fires, the grease isn't properly, there we go, come back, there we go. So the grease doesn't properly go down the channel and go out, so it starts to pool up, and then once it gets cold, it gets solid, they get hard pieces, then more grease starts to build, and then something happens, and then later on, usually, somebody wants to do a hot cook of some sort, you kick that baby up to 375 or 400 or something like that, and then boom, instantly all that grease catches. A lot of times when you're low and slow, you won't notice those grease fires, but make sure your grill is clean before you get into those hot and fast cooks. Okay, so we'll let that sit for a half a second. I'm gonna be wiping all of this back out one more time with my paper towel, and then we're gonna chase it, and I'm gonna come back with my towel and the water and soap, and we're gonna go back over all of these areas just to get rid of some of this solution, and then we're gonna go ahead and move on to the rest of the box and get it cleaned. During this time, I'm also gonna take a second to respray this light again and to respray this mirror. So hopefully on the back end here, this will be pretty easy when we go to clean that one off. And I wanted to bring you back. I'm halfway there. I'll tell you what, it didn't come off easy, but it is breaking through. I The other thing I didn't have, I'm using just a Scotch bite pad. You can actually use stainless steel, like a Brillo type pad on here. I'm gonna go grab one of those and finish out this last little bit after I get a nice respray and let it sit a little bit longer. And then we'll be able to get this thing back nice and clean. And then from there, we're gonna be moving on to our next step, which will be, while that's sitting and relaxing, we're gonna vacuum this thing out. So let's just talk through it real quick fast. So basically, as you see this line right here, that goes outside to that door I showed you initially, where I can pretty much open it up and I can vacuum directly here on the in-between cook, and I'll still be doing that today. And what that does is it's gonna clean out this firebox. As you look down in there, that's just just deposit, right? Even though it doesn't look that bad, it's actually a decent amount of random just sediments and stuff in there. So we're gonna clean that out so that's nice and crispy. One thing that you always notice too is if you got a dirty grill, eventually you have a dirty fire, that stuff gets off onto your food, gives off a smell and a taste. So a cleaner grill is gonna always burn hotter. You might notice that it might heat up a little bit faster. So we're gonna get this thing all cleaned out. I'm gonna vacuum all of this dust and all those wood chip pieces or whatever out of here, get this baby all nice and clean back out, and then this firebox will be looking nice and crispy. And then you'll also be able to see the igniter that's under there that looks a lot like this one. We want to make sure that that one's clean, nothing's obstructing it, and then like I said, that'll also help you with getting your fire started and getting your grill warm a little bit quicker. I'll bring you back when we all cleaned out. This vacuum cleaner's about to get live. Bam, we all cleaned up. I tell you, having this vacuum head and a light little rub along the outside of the walls and everything really does a good job. A couple things that I want to make sure I let you know. Make sure that you take some time every once in a while to stick your vacuum head inside of your chimney. You might even need to come from the top as well. That way you don't get too much buildup in there. I don't worry too much about the walls unless you see a lot of cakey buildup. Come back. There we go. Unless I see a lot of cakey buildup that looks like it's about to scrub off. But one thing I did notice was a couple little areas where I'm seeing a little bit of my paint chipping through. See one right over here too. So I'm gonna spray that with a little bit of Pam. Just keep it nice and pretty. You can see we vacuumed out this box. See, it's much cleaner now. You can actually see the igniter. So I'm sure I'll kind of get up to 150 and everything and get off and smoking a lot quicker. One thing that I do, just kind of my one little tip, once I clean it out, just to make sure that I don't have to end up doing no reset or nothing like that, I'll take me a little baby handful of pellets and kind of toss in there. That way there's some still in the bottom like it was when it's normally running. But other than that, we cleaned out, and then sure enough, finally, man, I can see through this window. Not so clean on the other side, but at least I got something. This thing was completely black, and I had to put a little elbow grease into this one. So if anybody got any tips, definitely let me know in the comment section which way you like to clean your window. And I got this light back where you can actually see there's a cover on there, so we should be able to get some shine through on this light. But let me know if you got a better way on cleaning these windows and everything. I'm always looking for ideas. But with that said, that's pretty much the insides. That's all the guts and the dirty stuff that we had to get done. Let's start putting it back together. Right, so we got the heat deflector back in there. Make sure that you come back over here along to the side, close and lock up that side door where you were vacuuming so you don't leave that one open, and then reattach the handy dandy pull to be able to actually move your box. And then as I'm just over here putting the aluminum foil back on my drip pan, one thing that you want to keep in mind is there's a couple little folds in here. One right here at the bottom, and then there's a hole right there. I'm gonna poke that through, make sure all that aluminum foil is out the way. And what ends up happening is this hole actually lines up directly right here. And it's actually going to be responsible for letting that air through to kind of help regulate the temperature and everything on your pit. So you want to make sure that when you're aluminum foiling this top, that you don't cover this hole up, because it'll totally throw off the temperatures in your grill. So I like to still put it all the way around with the wrapping, poke my hole through nice and clean. Same thing at the bottom. And when I'm putting this aluminum foil on, I always make sure that I got the aluminum foil where it tucks under the end. It's going to actually be where the grease is running. That way, along the way, everything's going to be covered. I don't get no drippage. If anything, if I ended up pulling too short, I'd rather it be short up here versus short down here, because this is where my grease is coming. All right, so now we're going to throw that in. There it is. Got it back on up in there. And the only thing I'm going to show you is on my particular pit, like I was saying, you want to make sure that that hole is pretty much lined up directly with your thermometer that's right there. And then other than that, we went ahead and grabbed those grates. And I remembered along the way that I said I wanted to spray that area where I was losing paint. And I had a little bit on that side too. So I sprayed both of those with a little bit of canola oil. I got my grill grates back in place. All right. That's all the hard work we got to do on the inside. So that's the end with the getting dirty. So inside is done, right? Oh, one more thing that I meant to tell you too when I came back, and that I did when I was cleaning this window. While I was in here and I was vacuuming everything out, one area that I do like to pay attention to, and I can see a little bit right there that I didn't get. A lot of times on your top, you'll get a lot of that stuff that ends up catching later on, becomes like those cliffhangers that fall down and can get into your food. You might also see them more at the top ends of your grill and stuff like that. Those are things that I do try to get because I don't want nothing falling into my food. So one of the easiest things is with that flat end of the shop vac, I just go up and down right on the actual smoker. It usually gives it a light scrape without actually hurting it. And then with the same time, it actually pulls those things right in and sucks it right up, makes it nice and clean. So that's pretty much what that'll look like. So that way your hood's looking good. Like I said, we can actually finally see out of this thing, and we should be able to get some light for some of these later cooks. But now we're going to work on the outside. So what I'm going to do, and I'm not too bad. I'm definitely dusty, but I can see what's what. Is I'm going to start back over. You can see that my water over here has became nice and dirty, grimy. So I'm going to start back over with a nice little clean batch of water, Dawn dishwashing liquid and water, pretty much mostly water, and I'm gonna give me a nice clean rag, and we're just gonna give it a nice once over. All right, so we got everything clean on the inside. We're gonna knock out this outside real quick fast, and this is the order that I like to do mine in. Obviously you can do it the way you like. We got a little dust outside too, not too bad. I like to get rid of like I just had my down there, I had my plug in. I like to move that out the way, but I do like to leave it still plugged in, just because when it's open, then I worry about something going in that hole. But all we're gonna do is I got me some fresh soap and water here. We're about to take it through, give it a nice once over, wipe everything down. I'm not trying to get it super wet. I just want to get it moist and cleaned off. If there's any areas where, I got some baked in goodness or anything like that, I can work on it a little bit harder. But to be honest, it wasn't too long ago I did a decent clean before I put this away. So most of this is just surface dirt. So I'll be able to get this off pretty easy. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and fill up my hopper first. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug it in and start my burn off first, and then once it cools down after my 30 minutes of my burn off, that's when I'll come back and then I'll do a little bit of mineral oil on here, make it look pretty. And I like to let that set in versus turning around and then doing a burn in, and then I feel like a lot of that ends up burning off. So let's get it wiped down. All right, so just like that, we got the majority of the good stuff done. Like I said, we went ahead and did the little general wipe down, pretty clean. I got a couple little spots that I can kind of see a little bit more dirt. I might come back over that a little bit while it's warming up with a little bit more Dawn dishwashing liquid. I didn't use too much soap in my water because I didn't want to really get it too soapy because it leaves a lot of streaks. So I'll actually come through with a little bit more soap and just kind of more or less hit some of these little spots. But this is the basic. We got this baby cleaned up, filled the hopper back up. I had some I think last time I was using Bear Mountain pellets. I like those. I wanted to give them a try, see if I can get something a little smokier. Before then, I was using Traeger. I like Traegers, even though I heard there's some that are a lot better. Usually, if I'm going to use the Traeger, much like I think a lot of times with the pellet grill, I try to go with something strong, so I'll go with like the hickory flavor. But I was in a pinch, was at Costco, so I just grabbed that traditional mix that they got, just so I always got some on deck, so that way I never run out while I'm in the middle of a cook. But we're going to go ahead and fire this baby up. Got it all plugged in, got it all filled up. It's cleaned out inside and out. I'm gonna see if I notice it actually fire up a little bit quicker. If you don't know, when you're dealing with this old Green Mountain, basically it's gonna go through a 0, 1, 2, and I don't even think it goes all the way to 3. I think once you get to 3, you start getting some of the timing in and lets you know more or less where the temperature is at. You want to make sure that this baby gets up to about 150 degrees before you go ahead and take it to whatever temperature you want to go to. So I'm gonna wait till we get up to 150. We're gonna push this baby up to 350, and I'm gonna let it cook for 30 minutes. And then after that, I'll shut it back down, let it cool back off, and then it'll probably be getting late, but I'll get the lights on back here. We're gonna shine this baby up, and I'm gonna leave it all sheened up and looking good for the night. Hold on tight. Hey team, we about to get smoked out, but while this grill's coming up to temperature, I want to take a quick second to tell you, thanks for hanging out with me yet again. If you're new to the channel, make sure you take a second, hit that bottom right corner and like and subscribe. That way you can keep up with the weekly cooks. This is the first one we're going to be doing here on the Pellet Grill, but I guarantee you it won't be the last one. As well as real soon, we'll be bringing in that Blackstone, and you know I'm going back to my Lone Star to get out there and make me a good old-fashioned fire. But other than that, check out some of the other things that I've been doing as far as some of the cooks, and hold tight, and we're going to go ahead and get back into this one. Alright, no question. That definitely fired up faster than my normal or my last time. I think I used this when I was putting together my brisket for my brisket chili video that we did out there on the Lone Star. And I wanted to do it overnight, so I figured this would be the easy route. But definitely got smoky. It smells great, which the Pellet Grill always does. But definitely I could tell that my Firebox must have been pretty full with all that ash and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and kick this up to 350. I'm gonna let this baby burn strong for about a half hour. I'll come back and shut it down. I'll let it cool all the way off, and then we'll wipe it down, get it all sheened up, and that'll be about a wrap for this video. Alright, so it's been about a half hour. Man, it smells absolutely amazing out here. I can tell this thing sounds like it's running smoother. I meant to say this earlier. Make sure you leave your, the one reason I didn't clean this pan out yet was I wanted to make sure anything that's left in here, once everything gets heated up, if it drips off, it'll drip in there. And that's going to be one of the last things I do along with this last wipe down. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. 350, been smoking good, smelling great. Hey, let's check out this. I can tell you right now, I can see through and see my aluminum foil. So we got our light, or our window looking good. Let me check out the light. Yeah. This little thing looks pretty decent. We'll take it. Alright. So now all I'm about to do is I'm going to let this thing cool off and come down. So maybe I'll come back here in about an hour or so, and this will be my little late night project. I'll give it a little baby wipe down, let it sit overnight, and bake in with the goodness. And we're going to call it a quiz. The morning after. Alright, I went ahead and waited through the night instead of finishing this up yesterday, just because the wind was blowing pretty strong, and I didn't want to end up putting this mineral oil on here and letting everything be sticky and it catches a bunch of dust. And I also wanted to make sure that it had plenty of time to cool off. So let's go ahead and finish it up. So this is pretty much what I'll use. Don't need too much of this. It goes a long way. Once you kind of get your tile saturated, it'll pretty much hold a lot of it. There's still some I can feel in here from before. I use this same stuff on my Lone Star. But this is pretty much what I'm going to go with. Before, I have used a little bit of cooking oil in there with some water. That worked pretty nice, gave it a nice sheen, but it does get it a little sticky. So I do like the mineral oil. It shouldn't do so much. So we're going to go ahead and make this thing all clean and pretty. I'm going to replace my pan or my drip bucket as we got that all cleaned up. I'm going to bring it back to you nice and clean. Bam! So there's what we look like. I like using that, like I said, you don't need a whole lot of that mineral oil. Once you get your towel, I use a microfiber towel. Once you get that moist, you can pretty much just go after that, and it just glides on nice and smooth. Really protects your paint finish and everything. Make sure that you don't get too much beat up. I'm out here in Arizona. This sun is a beast, so even though this is covered, at least it gives you something that'll clean it up. And I tell you, once you get a little bit of color on there after cleaning it up, it pretty much hides all your blemishes. I mean, I'm pretty much looking brand spanking new. This is almost a 2-year-old pit. I can't be mad at this at all. So this is where we at, top to bottom. If you do this to your pit periodically, get those deep cleans in, throw that aluminum foil pan on there, or aluminum foil over your drip pan. Got that bucket back right? That'll save you a lot on your cleanup. But you do this and it'll take care of you. I'll let you peek inside. I know we went in there already. Got this to a little bit cleaner. Look at that. Look at that. Straight through. I can see that just perfect. It wasn't that clear yesterday. I still got a couple spots in there I could probably get out. But it's pretty good. Now we're ready to rock and roll. We did our burn already yesterday. So this is pretty much what you're looking at. how you maintain that pit. And that's a wrap. We got the old pellet grill cleaned up. Everything's looking good. We're going to call it. Only thing left now is to go ahead and cook some and get it all dirty. Thanks for hanging out with me. Make sure that you give me a couple of those comments. A couple of things I wanted to know was, one, if you had a better way that we could actually clean that glass window up there other than simple green or apple cider vinegar and water 50-50. And the other thing was, I'm looking for some different pellets. Right now, I'm usually using either Bear Mountain or I still go back to Traeger or something like that. Let me know what you like as far as pellets for the pellet smoker. Other than that, I'll catch you on the next cook. Peace.